you sort of mentioned it or touched on it a moment ago there. We talk about the entire philosophy of the West, and in particular Australia, has changed. You only have to go back to the Great Depression. You can see the signs that were held up by the men and women on the street. They all said, please give us a job. We want to work. The idea of working was part of your moral fabric, and people wanted to work to make sure they had meaning in their life and that they were a valid and good member of society. That is not how people think these days. They've been taught that the state is their parent, that they are entitled to benefits from the state, and if the state doesn't give them stuff for free, well, then the state is evil and they won't vote for it. That's a huge shift, isn't it, David?
Oh, it is a huge shift, and some of the politicians also dismiss certain types of work which is not attractive, work which doesn't ensure you of longevity in that employment, work which they say is demeaning. But no work is demeaning in the legitimate areas of society. And if you have a job, for example, working as a labourer or working in a fast food establishment, they are still jobs. And it is much more respectable and much more proper and much more character building to be doing that than to be sitting at home dependent on other taxpayers. When you bear in mind that a large number of the taxpayers of Australia include those who are really working very hard, then they're not terribly well paid, they have dependents, but they're still working and they're doing their bit for society. And we should all be contributing. But if you have people who have the time not to work, they're invariably not going to be spending their time in doing worthy things. They get into all sorts of mischief and trouble, crime and all sorts of improper activities. And we see this particularly in the remote areas where the unemployment, welfare dependency is concentrated. And what that has done has not helped the Indigenous people. It's taken away from them their dignity, and it's led to all sorts of abuses, particularly in the areas of violence and in the areas of sexual abuse.